got a thief come to your house and take all your belongings tomorrow morning, and then you can go to the police. Why? Funny, I read the comment, fucking funny.
The comment is like
Because it's the least classic.
the comment can always creative one.
Rarely.
That guy.
I support the underdog.
Sorry?
I support the underdog.
Oh, right.
Underdog is right. Because may not lose.
Never mind.
Some underdog rallies are so crowded, it's not fun. Man.
But legit one.
Yeah.
It's out
For
there.
the super underdog.
但是保密，不要回报。
Me? I want to be the most unglamorous. I'll just talk rubbish.
Is there live on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Live on YouTube.
Yes, or Chinese.
But the channel is there.
Yeah, it's like just straight up one empty stage. You just
Everything said.
Yes, it's PPP.
Yeah.
So in a small audience, right? Chances are your voice can become much better. So you can make our own speech here.
This guy.
You end up hearing.
Take all your belongings and wait for the police come in the morning. Or your house is in fire. You wait for your house to burn down before your
I become
fire
clown okay
chief
no. You become clown cannot.
I'm glad you know.
and rescue your house.
Police
in the morning.
all the same.
If your house in fire, you wait
Do
for
a
the
dance.
fire people.
Can't even run for PP. Why run for one?
The comment was funny. The comment was even funnier. Testing.
Okay, can I confirm you are at the correct location?
Obituary to this, yes, correct location. What is it? Obituary to this, why?
No lah, like, okay, just want to be sure because it's a bit empty.
Confirm. We also shocked.
The other guy even younger, Yao even younger.
Oh yeah, bro. If I were to, let's say, run across the stage, right? How many seconds of delay would it be before it gets across the first second?
I think it's a few seconds.
You think I should run?
No.
Kat kami bro, police everywhere.
I kind of like that one I saw a few of them. But 等一下
No, we are getai.
Getai. We should like, alamak, sorry. Sorry, this is getai. No, we are on the way to location now.
Maybe you have one.
Then the next session, of course lah, bro. How can we be in the wrong location?
Okay, can you help me check that your camera is leveled? Help me check that your camera is leveled. Thank you.
Level.
If it's free, then just joke until I'm free as well.
But how to run it is also testable. This is your first album.
hear the action very often.
That's experience of Oh yeah. Bishan. I only know. Oh.
Really, you can tell.
I dyslexic. Why you just dyslexic old man? SPP
This one sounds like lost cause. I think might be one of the highest group of EAP this time around.
I got quite a good friend went for the PAP one for Bishan because of passer is running.
Not bad, the price. Actually quite reasonable.
So almost like ammunition.
Yeah, open field varies between hello. Price varies between just 100.
Thank you.
First time seeing his face.
Make Singapore a country that people will want to die in. Yeah, you retire already. It's a Bitcoin.
Wow. It's a crypto bro. From now start propose a crypto portfolio for CPF.
I like smaller jars. I think 5, 6 to 3 jars.
MOP 15. I like how Bitcoin is number 2 priority. I will vote this guy, man. Wow, point number 3 is also Bitcoin, bro. This guy. Yeah. Literally just what I said. More or less. Where? Where do you see it? Reduce alcohol.
That's the point.
I think that is a very cool T-shirt to wear to the brand.
Yeah, like this one is like.
No, not for the front, from the back.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah. Until it came here, then it realized.
It's okay.
Like
You can
this
wear.
one is like my 3DO shirt. Right?
It's okay. You can wear anything you want as long as there's no slogan when you go to the polling station.
Do you think it's actually
A free country.
or it's just the thing to or platforms to build this thing?
So your resident here, lah. Huh?
I'm from Sengkang.
Sengkang.
F2
We don't have rally tonight.
Yeah, BB.
Then why don't you give them a chance?
I
I'm not wearing white. Don't worry.
I mean, I already went to PP. I went to Worker Party already. Yeah, so like.
So why here?
It's about the Yeah.
No, I can understand. Tonight is the ninth rally I went to for business.
Yeah, respectable. I mean, as long as the party and the candidate, as long as it's doing for the betterment of Singapore.
That one very hard to say also. Because you have to do first, then you can see.
Yeah, lor. But never try, never know.
So you think Sengkang, what is the sentiment about Sengkang?
Hard to say. I mean, my first time was good. Because I'm still. You?
Huh?
You're from where one?
Sembawang.
Sembawang is cool.
I'm the Sembawang GRC, I got 6 months. Then Sembawang got one part, half out will be Sembawang where so cheese and train is so 1-to-1. So for Sembawang GRC, right, we got 2 candidates swap out. So my original MP is no longer. We like love him a lot, but then you parachute new person come in, right? It's a bit uncomfortable because if we actually see you for like more than 1 year and you're like volunteering here and doing stuff, then we can know you better, might be more comfortable. It's not that I'm against the new guy, you see. Yeah. So that's one thing.
Like continue like that. Parachute before.
No, but then the thing is that you know who he is, right? Versus someone who is totally new. So I got two person who totally new. Then if you are in Yishun GRC, then the GRC out of 5 person, 4 is new person, you know, you never seen them before. Then that's the thing. So the thing is that okay, for Punggol, right, if you put Deputy Prime Minister over there and then you threaten that if he lost then you lose capable Deputy Prime Minister, then that is bad. I'm not trying to influence your
unless there is the PP master plan.
It's not the first time they did it, the previous election they did that. Shift things we get to East Coast, then we never heard about the East Coast plan after that.
This one suicide smoke. Like Sengkang, I also don't even know. I've never heard of them before.
No, but I thought you said you went for the
Yeah lah,
rally
but
before.
regarding those
No, but
places,
then
like never.
to be fair to them, then you did not do your homework as a resident. You have to go and check on what they say for your personal choice.
I mean, to be fair, I survived 5 years under the party. Survived for 5 years.
Survive and you saying it's not good lah. Just survive is like that only, right? You're not. It's not big.
I don't understand the story. I'm just like that. I don't have expectations.
The first time I voted 20 over odd years. The first time I voted, right? After I finished NS, right, and then after I got my full job, then I was supposed to be overseas for holiday. Then it was the first time that PP was not by default the government because half the constituency was contested. Because the opposition don't have enough resources to contest for everything. So I changed my schedule to vote, then I took the flight to go on my holiday. Yeah, so because that was the first time. It was very meaningful to me. Regardless of who you vote, right, you just have to think about it. It's not supposed to be fun. It's not a game of cards. It's your life and my life. You know who said that, right? If one you say that. It's really not a game now.
you don't have any supporter or color there?
You're a sibling? So how are your parents? Do you think they have enough of dialogue?
You're doing less.
You think so lah? You factor in inflation.
Sorry?
You factor in inflation. You think that even with inflation, there's enough diet lah. So they don't need to depend on you lah. No. This is beside the election lah. I think. Are you working now?
I work part time.
Okay, by the time you finish the year before you finish your study, have a conversation with them about what's their plan for retirement. That will be good for you. Because if they become your dependents, I'm not saying it's bad or good because you're Asian, then you have to take that into consideration. Because Asian parents, they might not, they be paiseh lah, they don't want to talk, share with their children. You don't want to see your parents get share. Because the inflation this past few years, right, it will likely be worse in the next 4 years. Because of the trade war. How are you studying?
They're not as established. They're not as established.
Sorry?
How are you studying?
Currently studying service.
Yeah, they're the one that do it. So they call them I think what do you call it, their marketing. But their negative marketing is very good.
Try to stop.
Accidental choice.
现在才看那个。
Accidental.
Only wear black.
Grab is probably
Now because 13,000 no.
I need to find my microphone.
Last band, can you hear me? Last band. Okay, we chill today we chill No personal attack not like yesterday People say some things say gambling all. Hey, hi Prashant. Hey. Okay. Ooh. So there's only one thing we are going to remember how to say. And I think when y'all hear it, y'all know when to say it okay. and the only phrase is full-time pay, part-time job. Okay, I'm going to say again, full-time pay. All right, okay, let's get it started, Okay. Is Daryl here? Daryl, the other independent candidate, he's not here yet. I think he's still busy. Anyway, later you all see him, you all try not to hug him too tight. He's very frail. He'll be here to do meet and greet with you all here lah. He cannot come here because if he come here, both of us go jail. Okay. Okay. This is the first independent rally since 10 years ago. So give it up. I know, because I was there also. But this time, we are going to have a real chance of getting the first ever independent candidate into parliament. Before we go on to talk about our lives here in Mountbatten and Singapore, let me address some of the things that were said about me yesterday. Right? Mr. Lim Biao Chuan said that he never heard of me before. Yesterday in the speech at this very place. Actually, it also sounds very much like Go Suki. Nobody has heard of her before. Okay? In fact, nobody even heard about her policies before. All I have is a video of her saying she wants diversity and she's a renegade. Beyond that, I don't know what else she offers. In fact, she told me this twice in the nomination center. She says her PAP colleagues know she's fiercely independent and will never be afraid to challenge the party. Who believes that? Right. In fact, if you are so independent, you should come and join me instead. We can both run the town together. At least since 1st of April, April Fool's Day, my website has been available to the public. All of my policies has been on that site. Statistics as well. I know that this news cycle during the election will be full of mudslinging. People saying bad words to each other, saying racial slurs to each other. To my brother out there, Arifin, I hope you are doing well and I hope you win. So I kept all the receipts on my website. It doesn't matter if you believe the policies I advocate for are going to be implemented or not. It doesn't matter if you disagree with me. I encourage the disagreement. I think you guys have seen me go on Reddit and Hardware Zone to fight every single troll. But the reality is, I've been walking the digital grounds and the physical grounds. It is important for me to actually know what people online say. Because people online, they have a very thorough discussion on the statistics, and that is what I always encourage. That is the value of an independent candidate. I'm not going to stray away from policies that are inconvenient to speak about and hurt my fellow Singaporeans and my fellow residents of Mountbatten. So even if you don't like what I propose, I agree with your disagreements, and go online to see on my website the state of government, the statistics on inflation, on crime, on unemployment, on how we are all affected about our mental health. I highly encourage everybody to develop that sense of awareness of what the government is doing to us and the policies that can be formulated only when we have an open discussion on the data. So go check out my website, click on state of government. There is a dark mode, there's Chinese translation, there's Malay, okay? No excuses. Okay, so, you know, people always ask me, why do you suddenly come out of nowhere? Why did you, spring out into politics? The truth is, I have been silently preparing all these stats for 3 years. These things take time. We don't want the PAP to get away with the things just because we all have short-term memory, right? But not only that, not everything must be out in the public. What if my residents here suffer the same fate as Chee Soon Juan? What if Mountbatten no longer becomes the same SMC in the next election? What would you have me rather do? I would have rather stayed quiet and put up a great fierce fight over the last 9 days. I know it's important for me to rise up because my very own constituency experienced a walkover. Who's on Marine Parade Braddock Heights here? Walkover sucks, right? It's terrible, right? Yeah. So if I didn't step up, there will be a walkover in two places. One where I live and one where I really care about. Okay, by the way, this crowd size is already double of what yesterday's PAP crowd size was. Okay? Okay? And they borrow volunteers from Marine Parade because Marine Parade walkover, they're very free. They all just come and tompang. Okay. Okay, so, you know, the Straits Times headline was published, right, that Ms. Goh wanted a clean fight with me, which is also what she told me on nomination day. I'm very sure that my residents here already know my stance about Ms. Goh. I was very candid and very friendly, and I told them I really respect her. But yesterday's speech looks like some PAP perm sec wrote for her, and then tell her just run with it. Okay, so I took her word for word that she just wants to focus on her own strengths and what she can provide for the residents. So in all my interaction with the media, in interviews with members of the public, that's exactly what I did. I never once mentioned her other than saying she's a political newcomer just like I am. Lawrence Wong himself has criticized negative policies and attacks against individual candidates. My residents can attest to this. But apparently Goh Soo-Khee didn't get the memo because she and Lim Biao Chuan saw the need to spend 20 minutes of their 1 hour rally attacking me yesterday. Yeah, maybe I was naive to think that this would be clean campaigning. It's clean politics until one starts losing. Maybe at this point, she views me as a real threat, and that asking voters to choose her on her own merits wouldn't be enough to win. Maybe she doesn't really have anything meaningful to say about why she would be a good candidate, the best candidate, other than, trust me bro, I volunteered with PAP 13 years already. Maybe, given how long she's been in the PAP, it's just her and the party's DNA to engage in negative politics. She did try to disparage me as a candidate, attacking my credentials and questioning my motives and credibility, so I have no choice but to respond. Ms. Goh, you brought this upon yourself. I'm so sorry. So, the first comment that I had from Mr. Lim Biao Chuan yesterday, he said, there's something about Jeremy Tan's language that I don't quite agree with. But I think, you know what, Mr. Lim? I think more Singaporeans sound like myself than Ms. Goh or yourself, you know. I think perhaps it's because we speak different languages that you have been tone deaf to your residents. Okay. So, I've kept receipts. I'm a very vindictive person. So, one of your residents told me that when he approached you for his concerns, you told him, and I quote, "You think so easy to do this job, you run for office law." He's volunteering here, by the way. I tell you, later you all can go look for him. Another one of your residents told me that when he messaged you on Facebook to say, "Hi, Mr. Lim," you told him, "You should start with good morning, Mr. Lim." I got a receipt, so I can actually forward it to them. Don't bofma me, okay? I may jokingly call myself Encik Bitcoin, but he is the one behaving more like the Encik. And then on your community, they say that, you know, there's the RC network, there's the community of volunteers, right? But let's really talk about community. Your community has really not liked the way it is run ever since you went into ORD mode, okay? They reach out to me and tell me they don't like how people are parachuted into places inside Mountbatten from outside Mountbatten. They don't like that there is no transparency in managing the volunteer network. They don't like that the same programs are being run over and over again in the youth network. Nobody really wants to change anything and introduce new life and new products and new events into Mountbatten. So that's what the feedback I've gotten from the youth voters. The ones that are still in university, the ones that are having trouble to find jobs, and the ones that are actively volunteering in Mountbatten. So for Mr. Lim Biao Chuan, please know, you have been ORD mode, so there must be a handover. Now, it will be me, but let's find out why, right? Okay. He also talked about the active aging centers. He said, does Jeremy know anything about active aging center? I play basketball with Kenny from the active aging center. We talked about issues in Mountbatten and the food bank. He wants to thank Mr. Lim Biao Chuan for a good job, but he's happy to work with me. Lim Biao Chuan himself, when bringing Gosuki around, hey, by the way, residents of Mountbatten, you are voting for Gosuki or Jeremy Tan. It's not Lim Biao Chuan plus Gosuki versus Jeremy Tan. Okay, on the ballot paper, got lightning and got dog. You choose the dog. Okay? Okay, so, in yesterday's speech, Lim Biao Chuan himself said, people asked him, who is this lady next to you? And I'm like, yeah, who is this lady next to you? The volunteers were shocked, I went to some house visits and they told me, some of them only know Gosuki is running on Easter Day itself. What kind of leadership transition is this? Is it that the PAP just think that Mountbatten voters are supposed to be suckers and accept anything thrown to them? No, right? That is just taking my residents and their sincerity for granted. Okay, and on the last point of him being on ORD mood, this year, who wants to take a guess how many questions he asked in Parliament? First 4 months of Parliament. Who wants to take a guess? Just shout. Zero. No lah, cannot zero lah. Kena tekan lah. Okay, y'all can find the truth, but it's 10 questions. 10 questions for 4 months of Parliament. $64,000 in allowance salary just for 10 questions. Let me tell you what it is. Full-time pay. Alright, we're going. So yesterday I heard a lot of, words from them saying that they don't know me. Do they have a heart to serve and all those, right? And this is actually quite personal for me because I never volunteered 13 years like my opponent, right? I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that a volunteer work only counts when you're a PAP activist. I also didn't know that shaking hands in community events and posing for photo counts for the last 10 months is considered serving Mountbatten residents because for most of her time in a party, she lives in Holland, Bukit Timah area. But okay, Suki says she's been helping the disadvantaged buy stationery and approving or rejecting Medifund applications in hospital. I commend that. I hope that because she has interacted with so many disadvantaged people, maybe she will understand me as a person because I did not have a privilege of being born into a well-to-do family. I didn't get to study overseas in Taiwan or, travel many places as a kid, right? I've been working my butt off to get my family out of poverty and trying to build a life for myself. The residents of Kembangan and Chai Chee Care Corners will know how much I have done for them. How much I have helped. When you go and travel to Kembangan and Chai Chee, you ask the Care Corners, they will know my name. There are no photos out here because I just don't go and do photo ops like the PAP, okay? Why do I do this? I didn't need to join a political party to do all this, to only help those that support or vote for the party. My opponent questions my motivations because she hasn't really watched any of my interviews, but we know her motivations because we've watched and what she said in public. In a speech at the PAP's annual gathering in 2021, she talked about why she joined the party, and I quote, "My motives were powered by my motherly instincts. After GE 2011, I was very concerned about the future of Singapore. I wanted my son to be part of a system that rewards merit and honest work. Well, if that's the case, then we must consider seriously if her children has benefited from alumni affiliation or not, which is a policy that doesn't exactly reward merit and hard work. It exacerbates the problem of inequality. It gives people ladders to climb very quickly on the basis of no hard work. She would not dare to argue against this. It goes against the PAP's party politics. The PAP wants to entrench the same people into the same system back again because losing power is just very difficult for them to accept. But definitely, this isn't about party politics for me. I didn't join any party because I think I can directly represent voter interests, not the party interests. That is the value of an independent candidate. When things are difficult to talk about, I will help talk about it. When things require your attention before Parliament, I will work on it. We don't need to wait for a Meet the People session. We don't need to wait for a complaint email. We do not need to wait for the 2 sittings in Parliament before we get this done. I think I showed you how I've walked the grounds, I did the house visits, and I will continue to do that. So, the next thing they tried to attack me was on town council experience. The ironic thing about this criticism is that Goh Soo Ki herself has no experience running a town council. Mr. Lim Biao Chuan said it himself. He said, she can call me anytime. But he will be retired, taking care of his mother. That's what he said. Unfortunately, Mr. Lim didn't give me his phone number, so I don't think he will care what happens to the town council if I win, right? In practice, Mountbatten has always been managed by Marine Parade Town Council. So is he implying that they will abandon Mountbatten residents if you vote for me? I think you know the answer. Yesterday, Lawrence Wong said municipal upgrades from non-PAP areas are not going to be withheld anymore. So if the PAP is no longer going to hold voters hostage over town council matters, then my promise to the voters is that I will work hand in hand with the Marine Parade MPs to ensure that you are taken care of. Don't worry, I live there. I can attend the Meet the People session and see them directly. So these few days, running on 4 hours of sleep per day, very tired, very shagged. You know, some uncles scold me as if like I'm Lim Biao Chuan like that. Okay? Just now, I have uploaded a transparent Google Sheet on my website under Mountbatten page. It contains the list of all contractors that lost their bids when they were bidding for Marine Parade Town Council. It contains the categories. It contains whether or not it affects Mountbatten. I have reached out to some of them and I'll be reaching out to more. If you have lost bids for Marine Parade Town Council before and it affects Mountbatten, my message to you is clear. Mountbatten is open for business. Let's assume that the PAP abandons you. I call Lim Biao Chuan, but he don't want to pick up. Okay, what happens? Look, people tend to say this in every election, that somehow the grounds are not swept, the garbage is not collected. Firstly, not to worry, all the contracts are good for another 2 years. We have a very credible and durable time that we are able to build out our capacities. So relax. But more importantly, let's look at history. Low Tia Kiang did not have experience. Cham Chi Tong ran twice as an independent before really breaking through. You know, I have spent the last 10 to 15 years bootstrapping, not taking any investments from people, building up my business, and running a show where, you know, managing employees where they can work from home. Running a town council really is about making sure things are efficiently run, and that's the way I will do it. Right? Running a town council is running a business. It is a full-time job. It is a full-time job and not a part-time job. You are my customers that I need to keep satisfied. You don't pay me money. You pay me in trust and votes. Okay. So I think maybe one of my residents here, he recounted this story to me. Okay, I was at his house and this is at Dakota Breeze. There's quite a few of them. Their Telegram group, they asked me to go over to Cheng Me. They just scold me. I'm like, I'm not even power, relax. But anyway, this is the story he recounted for me. He directly asked Miss Goh when she visited, why won't you be a full-time MP like Jeremy Tan? Her response was, doing this full-time would hurt her law practice. I think it is quite clear that her heart is to watch out for herself first, not the residents of Mountbatten. Right? So it's important that I manage the town, I keep contractors accountable. We need to get the value for money and cut costs. I don't have friends of the party to hire as managing agents and who will squeeze the town council for every dollar, go to the the events and dinners to shake hands just to get nice contracts, right? I am not that kind of person, and we will not allow Mountbatten residents to be squeezed every dollar dry. I'm coming to the boring part, sorry. I've spoken to contractors, managing agents, maintenance companies. I've studied various town council tenders to understand all the different moving parts. Have no fear, I will run your town council well. I think Lim Biao Chan doesn't even know, let alone Ms. Goh. There's a huge, immense dissatisfaction of where the problems of the town council are. As it turns out, the ERP and the CRM software is terrible. The Microsoft Dynamics stack is just a flaming piece of garbage. Okay? It has so many bottlenecks. It integrates poorly with SingPass. It is not mobile friendly. The APIs are old, and when these things happen, more manual processes start to creep in. People start to see, then the email chain very long. Then need to wait until after 5 p.m. then can clear. Then zero inbox is never, never going to achieve that, right? So on day one, I will rebuild the entire tech stack. I used to build ERPs back in my day running businesses. I had a warehouse, I had a shop, I had an office, yet all my employees chose to work on their own timing. They just, schedule for each other the timing that they want, right? So that's how I used to manage my business. Ms. Goh says, right, I only have an AI paragraph on my website and I don't understand AI. Okay, so let's talk about AI, okay? Firstly, I think it's very important to know that I'm a software engineer by heart. I've been building these websites and apps for a long time. And if it can really help the residents of Mountbatten, we should really kind of invest in it. All right? We cannot have a system whereby people are just waiting for their time or their appointment to speak to your RC. We cannot have a system whereby you have to wait until 9 to 5. We need something that's more 24/7. Okay? So AI is really going to change a lot of things, and we will rebuild that stack from day one. It is actually my vision to create a digital town for Mountbatten. We engage the seniors using volunteers, so no tech at all, and we use the tickets that are created so that everybody in Mountbatten knows and is able to see what's going on, and they are able to help each other. We want a community initiative where people help each other, not just demand more and more from the town council. That will put a strain on the service and conservancy charges. That's not what we want. We want people of Mountbatten to help each other. 73% of people here live in private property. There's a lot of help to go around. We just need to know how to do it. We cannot just focus on one area and ignore others. And also, the managing agent fees are very high because the software is bad. Better tools and technology would enable our volunteers to have more transparency. A hybrid model is the best for Mountbatten because we are a small SMC. Investing well is also necessary. We cannot run away. We don't have the economies of scale to bid for, get the contracts, right? So we need to do these things to be here. Okay, so this is the worst part of the day I have to go to, okay? Lim Biao Chan wanted to talk about lifts. He asked me yesterday, do you know about lifts? So this part is going to be exciting for some of you. I don't know. I can't believe I'm talking about this because Lim Biao Chan wanted me to talk about lifts. I'm doing this for them because first time in the history of Singapore, Bitcoin as a word has been muttered by a PAP candidate in a PAP rally. So I must return my opponents a favor. Okay, for those aspiring to enter the lift industry, here goes. Town council lift maintenance is done on a non-comprehensive basis with cyclical parts replacement, where parts replacement and repair is excluded. The BCA sets the maintenance regime. On average, the non-comprehensive basis means that a monthly maintenance rate is $300 to $400 per lift per month. This is typical for 10 to 15 floors where many of our HDBs are. The number of floors affect the cost. The permit to operate fees are like that. Annual no-load test, $150. Special plan examination is $450. Approval fee for no-load. 5th year full load test, $600. SP approval fee for full load, $500. Comprehensive and maintenance is expensive, and it is 30 to 40% more than non-comprehensive. Okay, but more importantly, here's the point. Small firms cannot penetrate this lift maintenance contract because it is bundled under the FM category. So only EM services can tender. And everybody knows EM services means Cheng Hu lah, right? Smaller and more efficient firms, right, cannot break this wall. And they've tried to reach out to the PA just to say, maybe let me handle the community center. But there's always a glass ceiling. There's always a reason to reject them. Things are so opaque, and we don't know why these tenders are like that. These tenders are not even on GBs, by the way. All these tenders are on the Marine Parade Town Council website. So there's an incentive for them to keep it opaque. We need to be open-minded for the firms that are hardworking, because we want them to serve us and we can save money, not raise SNCC funds every year, right? And it's become very costly, SNCC funds. So they don't publish this on GBs. So that's the part about lifts. Anybody got questions, you can ask me. I'm becoming a lift expert already. Okay. So, on cleaning, people really tell me, you know cleaning how much? The answer is roughly about $8 to $11 per month per block lah. We have 62 blocks. Mosquito how much? $48 per month per block lah. Okay. So for all those people that tell me, town council, you know, town council, you know, tomorrow you go ask Miss Gosuki these numbers. Okay, you go ask her. Okay. So, you know, it's actually very interesting that, you know, yesterday they have a lot of policy critique, right? On me. They talk about me. They say, why do you want to look at Bitcoin only? I find it very interesting because I have over 50 policy proposals on my website and over, I think, 200, 300 over statistics. The only thing she chose to respond to is Bitcoin. It's fine if she doesn't understand how it works. I get it. It's very complicated. But is that the quality of debate we expect from a backbencher? Is that how she's going to scrutinize legislation in Parliament? She just read the headline and ignore everything else? Or is she just going to attack what is politically convenient for her? The best part of all this, she's been a PAP activist for 13 years. Is she not paying attention to the government's investment in the cryptocurrency scene? Or is she just too busy with her community program picking up litter? Yesterday, she used the word gambling. So let's dive into that. What is gambling? Firstly, there's a Toto shop beside the Fair Price. I want her tomorrow go and tell all the residents she's closing that now. Okay? I want her to go do that. Okay? Gambling is when you do not study enough of the risk and want to take a big move. Temasek lost $275 million when FTX collapsed. That was very recent, by the way. That was 3 years. Okay. Because they did 6 months of due diligence. And as it turns out, there was never an accurate balance sheet to be had. In my capacity as an angel investor, I cut $25,000 checks for around the last 90 days of diligence. They gave out $275 million for 6 months of diligence, and there was no balance sheet. It was probably just a Google sheet, and then, yeah, just have it. I'm Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah, Sam Bankman-Friedman. So don't even get me started on e-fishery. This is a skill issue or organizational failure. And the funny thing is that at least with FTX, the user still can recover some claims. No, e-fishery is a total dead fish. There's nothing to be recovered from the e-fishery case. Temasek really blew themselves out of the water with this one. And the FTX deal was also handled by a foreign talent, a British fella inside Temasek. These guys just find ways to screw us over and over again. So is it really gambling? Ms. Goh says that the PAP does not believe in gambling. Okay? Every YouTuber that comes to Singapore for a holiday only got 2 things in their video. The first thing is jewel. The second thing is the big gambling den. Okay? The tote board supports so many educational programs. The tote board support arts like Chingay, you know. I think the PAP really loves gambling lah. And lastly, what is the reality and why does Ms. Goh lie about PAP taking of Bitcoin as gambling? I know why, and I'll share with you a story, okay? In the nomination center, she shook my hand. She said, Jeremy, I hope you have a clean fight. You know, I'm very bad at all these investment things. Maybe you can teach me one day. So, what is the track record of our government and Temasek in cryptocurrency? But specifically, I worry about Bitcoin only. I think I went to all your houses. They all scold me. I said, it's Bitcoin only. Relax, relax. Temasek led a $200 million fundraising round for a Singaporean crypto firm, crypto financing company called Amber Group. Temasek is also one of the largest shareholders of BlackRock, who runs the largest Bitcoin ETF in the world. She says that is gambling. Has she told the government and Temasek her message or not? I don't think so. The Bitcoin ETF is bigger and better performing than the gold ETF. Are these people gambling? Wait, actually I remember something. What about the 500 million lost in Lehman Brothers mini bonds? It's neither a bond nor was it mini lah, okay? Today I posted a reel of Piyush Gupta saying that he buys Bitcoin and he wants it because it's superior to gold. I guess Piyush Gupta is also gambling with your POSB Squirrel account, the savings. Xiao Liao, best performing bank CEO. How come the dividend so good? You all finally know. Maybe it might have something to do with Bitcoin, right? Okay. So, other track records are also, MAS has been involved with Project Guardian, Project Ubin, which is the tokenization and ledger technology. SGX has launched Bitcoin futures. I think it is very clear. We have to embrace technology when it meets the needs of Singapore in an uncertain world. We have to take risks when we are absolutely required to. We know because the hopeless are the most courageous. How were we the most courageous? We look at what the MRT has done for us. We look at what Newater has done for us. We look at what Changi Airport has done for us. Singapore gaining independence was about being courageous, not about gambling, because we were hopeless. In 1967, when we moved away from the sterling pound to move to, back then, backed by gold US dollar, Lee Kuan Yew got scolded by the British commissioner. But his comment to them was, it matters what you issue, whether or not there is backing. And right now, we are suffering the cost of living problem because everything we buy in energy, in food, we settle in US dollar. And the US dollar is backed by nothing. So Miss Goh, I will come and teach you. Come and find me. I will give you some tuition on this. Actually, yesterday I saw gambling winners. No? The BTO lottery. 3-room Dawson flat sold for 933,000. Singapore Pools, 10 million. Yeah, so got some people say the 10 million they never hit, so they have to stay tired, cannot be retired. Sengkang flat went for 1 million also, right? I think yesterday, right? Yeah. So this is the real gambling lah. This is the lottery effect lah. If you get, very good for you lah. If you don't get, too bad for you lah. Okay. But more importantly, we must look at what has happened to us. What exactly is the state of our government? Okay, we have a record high number of F&B shutdowns since 2005. Half of Singaporeans have less than 135,000 in net worth. The companies that are forced to wind up hit a 15-year high in 2024, which is a 53% jump over 2023. More fresh graduates were unemployed. In fact, 12.9% in 2024, up from 10.4% in 2023. And this is a very disappointing next step. 91.3% of job growth in the last 3 years were to foreigners. And of the local job growth, we don't know how much of that was PR converted to Singaporeans. It also breaks my heart to know that there's an increase in debt collection from platform workers. MAS booked the highest ever loss, $30.8 billion, to fight inflation. 44% of Singaporeans do not believe they can ever attain financial freedom. In this time, 22.9% increase in wealth inequality in Singapore over the last 15 years. My question to my opponent is, what are your policies to deal with these questions, to these stats? And unfortunately, I have not seen anything come out of her mouth to deal with the cost of living issue, to deal with the unemployment issue, to deal with the fact that fresh grads cannot find jobs. People have to do 7 internships just to land jobs. My question to Ms. Gosuki is, are you doing this to get a full-time pay? But I think it's very important that we look at the state of Singapore and we look at how much HDB prices have risen. 44% in the last 5 years, 156% in the last 20 years. And we look at ourselves seriously. How long can we consider HDB as a retirement asset? I have spoken about this on my podcast. I have spoken about this on the various interviews. When you want to buy low and sell high, you are only buying low and selling high to the next generation of Singaporeans. The PAP wants you to believe that this asset enhancement scheme will always happen. It will always be there. But let's face it, this is no longer the future that can be guaranteed. We don't have an era of 30-year incomes anymore. We don't have an era whereby people died at 60 years old and you could pass on the HDB for another 30 years. How do we know that these policies are failing? It is showing up very evidently in one statistic and one statistic only. Healthcare is our second highest spending item in our budget. What does this mean? It means that people's CPF have not been compounded for the basis of retirement, not been compounded for the basis of having medical insurance adequacy, but it's been compounded inside their flat. This is a problem now. We are spending $20 billion on healthcare every year, and Lawrence Wong himself said he won't have to raise GST until 2030. Now, you could take that statement to be read another way. Most likely GST coming again in 2030 lah. Okay? Yeah. Actually, okay, I tell you very important. This is Mountbatten. The people here pay a lot of GST. So whenever I go on house visits, I'm always bombarded with the question, how come we pay so much GST and then the government just keeps quiet on so many things? What are the things? NTUC Alliance, right? Simply go stun. OBU, okay? And then even the NRIC saga, Josephine Teo said, this is what she said. She said, I don't see why there's a need for banks to give authentication in the PDF. Last time, when I received the bank statement in my mailbox, I tear out, no need to have authentication. What? I didn't know Miss Josephine Teo gave everybody her mailbox key lah. Right? And we have all these problems that we are facing in Singapore, but yet the PAP still wants to have an opaque system. A lot of raising of taxes, a lot of giving out vouchers just as stopgap measures. They really don't know what they want to do with the future of Singapore. It is very important that we stop treating the HDB as a retirement asset because we're just hurting the next generation of people. It is very important that we give people the ability to compound their savings in inflation-proof assets, not the HDB. The HDB is a decaying lease, and the CPF, you know what? It changes all the time. The basic retirement sum goes up, the FRS goes up, the ERS goes up, retirement age goes up, and then they change the ruling around how much is paid out in the RA, CPF life also. We cannot keep looking at these two policies and continuing the way we have continued. And most importantly, and the last point I want to focus on is about AI. Look, jobs are being lost very quickly. We have the highest number of PMET retrenchments since the stat was first recorded in 1988. We are going through a period of change where the USA is starting to look like they are no longer becoming the reserve currency of the world, and China doesn't want to take that place. Singapore needs to act decisively by buying our own insurance policy. We need to start thinking of our economic policy for this, and we need to start thinking of it fast. The good thing is, we still have time. We still have time to craft the future we want. We just cannot ignore the geopolitical risk of being in the same way that we've always been. We buy all energy and food with US dollars. We do not have natural resources. We need to consider very seriously how we are going to get this done. Look, voters are Mountbatten. It's okay if you don't believe in Bitcoin, which is my solution for all things. But you look at my policies on housing. You look at my ideas on preventing scams. You look at the changes I want to bring to the education system. You look at how I want to protect Singaporean consumers. And I want you to look at how I want to make local politics more clean and more fair. Single-member constituencies and 3-person GRCs only. No more 5 and 4 people teams. I think this is what Singaporeans want. They say the EBRC is fair, but somehow somebody from PMO is inside the EBRC community. I don't know how it is fair like that, but yeah, it's fair, okay? If you keep Mountbatten the same shape, it is very fair. Okay. Look, I want to make local politics better. When I set out to run this campaign, I made sure that I wanted to do it at a high standard. I made sure that I ran politics in a clean way so that all future independent candidates or even single-member constituency candidates know this is the benchmark to clear. Do you think or do you feel that I have made this a high benchmark? Please tell me the truth. Okay, so for people on CNA Live, there are a lot of people voting for me. You also should vote for me, okay? Look, there's no party whip to silence me, and there's no party leader to force me to campaign on specific issues, okay? You vote for me, and I will fight for you. I'm sure voters in Mountbatten have been following the national narratives about whether voting against the PAP and losing ministers will weaken the government or not. Thankfully, you do not need to worry about this. If Goh Soo Khee win, she's not going to join the cabinet anyway, okay? If she was, she said she volunteered for 13 years, right? The PAP would have waited 1 decade to call her, right? They didn't feel her in 2015. They didn't feel her in 2020. And when they feel her in 2025, they decided to put her somewhere that is the safest in Singapore, or the highest winning percentage for the PAP. Because they assume that the opponent will be either Lim Tian Kok Kok or one of his friends. Or walk over. Right? So the PAP did not want her to face a tough opponent, or any opponent for that matter, because they were concerned about how she would look in comparison. It's quite telling that you see Lim Biao Chuan walking with her all the time. Lim Biao Chuan got a very elderly mother to take care of, but he still feels like Goh Soo Khee is a bigger problem that he needs to take care of, you know. There's no minister campaigning here on her behalf, I tell you. Nobody from the Marine Parade Braddell Heights is going to fight for me. Every one of them tompang to help her yesterday, okay? So, Lawrence Wong nor anyone else from cabinet has announced her as some political holder. If you vote for her, you are getting, you know, full-time pay. Okay. You're also getting a person that's a newcomer. You're also getting a person that has specifically said, if I run this full-time, it will hurt my legal practice. Okay. So you're not losing out by voting for me. In fact, you stand more to gain. 2 for 1, as they say. You vote for opposition, the NPA take care of you, right? You let me go and fight with the parliament on other things. I don't sound like that in parliament. I sound like that because it's how normal Singaporeans speak, okay? Right? Look, she's a newcomer, I'm a newcomer. I think it's very clear what she has to offer is out there, which is nothing. Okay? I've been very clear from day one. I gave you guys house visits. I gave you guys calls. I gave you guys video calls, right? I've been delivering the flyers. We covered, hey, actually, you know, my volunteers want to thank you because as of today, we finished all the HDB blocks, the condos, and the landed. They say independent couldn't get this done. They say no resources. I don't know if Ms. Goh spent her resources well, but yeah. Look, if you want to vote in a backbencher that will sit quiet in Parliament because she has done all her talking behind closed doors, then you vote for Ms. Goh Soo Kee, okay? But residents of Mountbatten, I got a better offer for you all. If you all want to be the constituency that makes history, that brings in Singapore's first ever independent political candidate in Parliament, and you want your voice to be heard loud on the national stage, then you vote me to be your full-time MP, Jeremy Tan for Mountbatten SMC. For democracy, for Singapore! Thank you guys. Okay lah, got one article say I will use all my MP allowance for community programs. So that is true. I think just came out only. Mothership say I just came out. Alright. Good night guys. Thank you Mountbatten residents. Thank you Singapore.
You missed a major part of it, but it's a good orator. But then to come yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just another debut.
Yeah. Respect. So good.
Mountbatten 1-2.
I'm voting for the boys.
Wait, hunt. Let's take BP.